Research shows how public attitudes towards MLK have changed since the 1960s. The nation was divided along racial lines on the slain civil rights leaders' favorability, surveys indicated. So back in the 60s, and even before then, a good bit of white America did not like Martin Luther King. Now, the Republicans and everybody else, they love quoting this man, but had those people existed back then, they probably wouldn't have liked him. And it probably would have been popular to dislike him. A new Pew Research Center survey finds division between black and white Americans on the question of progress towards racial equality. Slightly more than half, 52% of those surveyed in April 2023, said the nation has made significant or fair strides towards achieving Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of racial equality. Only 30% of black Americans said the nation is making progress, compared to nearly 2/3, 58% of white Americans. Ahead of the 60th anniversary of the iconic March on Washington, which was at the time the largest ever gathering for civil rights, Pew researchers noted how racial attitudes towards King improved over the decades, leading to his moment when the vast majority of all Americans view King favorably. So, on today, 81% of Americans say that King had a positive impact on the nation. Now, why would so many people say that? Because it's the watered down version of MLK they're talking about. It's not the MLK of we're coming to Washington to get our check. It's not the letters from prison MLK. No. It's the warped, twisted version of MLK they like. See? The one that didn't say we're coming to Washington to get our check. Most of white American didn't even hear that speech. Didn't even hear that spiel. Never even saw that video, even though it's readily available. Never seen it. They don't know that MLK flat out said that we should pay that we should pay reparations. As they're disagreeing with reparations, but quoting MLK. A good bit of them don't know that, but even if they did, they probably wouldn't change their minds. So let's just keep it above. You know, not all white people are evil, but there are a lot of them who are. I'm aware of that. We just keep it above. You know, I try to focus on the ones who are good, the ones who are evil. I wish they'd be a little bit more honest, but with just 3% who believe the civil rights leaders' influence harmed the country, just 3% of people think it harmed the country. Interesting. But when King was alive, views about him were sharply divided along racial lines. King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech at the March on Washington on August 28th, 1963. 3 months later, a Gallup survey found that only 41% of Americans viewed him favorably, according to the Pew Research Center. That figure included 92% of black Americans, but only 35% of white Americans. Interesting. So even back then, you know, people are saying, well, we need to, think like this, think like that, be more like MLK. You know, the version that they like, the one that is more white friendly. Let's just say more white friendly. They say that, right? And it is very, very fascinating. Don't get me wrong. They say that. But the things that had MLK disliked back then are some of the same things that we're advocating for now. See, the white folks back then heard MLK saying we're coming to Washington to get our check. A lot of white folks today have never heard that. So they don't understand the reasons why those white folks back then were against Martin Luther King Jr. They were against him because he was pushing for reparations and anti-black hate crime bills and all kind of stuff. That's why. So some of the same things that we are advocating for in the modern day, right? That's the reason why only 35% of white people back then liked Martin Luther King Jr. Get it? So the things that a good bit of people oppose now, it kind of makes sense that you oppose it because you would have back then too. And I don't say that to say that people can't be redeemed. I say that so that people who have those views can realize you might be a bit of a racist. Just saying. 3 years later, after King's famous speech, when more Americans knew of King and the civil rights movement, his overall favorability rating decreased to 33% in a Gallup poll. Those who viewed him as a highly unfavorable increased from 25% in 1963 to 44% in 1966. By August 2011, the slain civil rights leaders' overall favorability rating skyrocketed to 94%. That figure included 100% of black and 93% of white Americans. So even now, you still have some white Americans who are, just anti-black racists. The survey of 5,073 adults for the new Pew Center study was conducted from April 10th to April 16th, 2023. Wow. So it shows you that all the people saying, oh, well, I'm against reparations because this is that. Nah, you're racist. Keep it a buck. Get it over with, man. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's end it there. Keep it a buck. Don't feed me the cap, man. Don't feed me the cap.